Start.
Yeah, you can go ahead there.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Depend on the time, your time zone, and all that. My name is Anthony Fernandez Doe Marine. I'm a German, precisely Sagbama Magberi, to be precise. A little of my profile, I've done over 23, 24 years in the oil and gas, serving oil and gas majors and all that. And I've worked around the world in different parts of the world and putting my own experience across to the different sectors of the oil and gas and all that. And being part of this particular beautiful Ijaw People's Forum, which is the INDG, that have been doing a very great work in terms of strengthening our professionalities as professionals in the oil and gas. The first oil and gas meeting that was ever held as a Zoom meeting was, at least I want to believe I was the first person to be brought in as a guest. We sparked up a whole lot of things. And we've been seeing reactions, from different sectors, industry players. So many job people have been coming on board. So many job professors have been coming on board. But at this point, our take is to further strengthen the core value of why it is oil and gas, or why we should take the forum out of where it is right now to where it should be seen, that is boots on ground. I was privileged to be part of the meeting where the Minister for Petroleum addressed us. I was privileged to be part of the meeting where the former president addressed us. I was privileged to be part of the meeting where the former petroleum minister addressed us. But all these persons that have addressed us, one thing remained constant. And the constant thing is we need to put ourselves together. We need to come together to form a power block to which I've decided to pen something down for us all to look at, which is setting up an oil and gas, let me put it this way, setting up an oil and gas association. Would I put it association? In Niger Delta Oil and Gas Forum or Association, live forum, or an NGO that will be set up, but set up in such a way that it will look like a business, a going concern, thereby bringing all the umbrellas or the persons and professionals of the oil and gas industry in Niger Delta as professionals together, forming a committee, forming a board, having an forming a board, and having a chair, forming a board, steering the entire processes. For instance, my experience in UAE and the US market, you will find out that the Jews, they have one particular committee they call the IPAC committee. That committee, for every single thing that goes to Israel or the Jews as a businessman in America, these are the people. These are the people that lobby for them. Every policy you see America make in terms of businesses that concern certain industry, the Jews have a lobby group that goes out to educate the legislators, lobby the government, lobby whoever they need to lobby to get policies and to get policies passed on behalf of this particular industry. So my take today is, let us look at how we can create an oil and gas Niger Delta forum where all businessmen that are into the oil and gas are going to be part of this forum. We create a board that steers the entire process. Then we do free will donation to fund that process, have a conference, sit down together, look at where we are lagging, put the association together, get them registered, get a board, get a streamlined processes, how it should be driven. Therefore, we can now face the government, bring out policies that favors us, speak to the who is who in power, and let them know we are coming from a power block. I'll give you an instance. In Lagos, in Nigeria, our brothers from the West, they have different associations representing them in the center, to which there is no election cycle that will come to place that politicians don't sit down with them to hear them out. From time to time, they are being called to speak on certain matters. But here we are in the Niger Delta, we don't have a Niger Delta Oil and Gas Association or Niger Delta Oil and Gas Businessmen Network. Whichever name, I really don't bother, but let it be a Niger Delta affair that covers an umbrella that covers the entire core of the oil and gas practitioners and businessmen in the Niger Delta, to which they have a say. I know some of us will say PTAN. PTAN is not, PTAN does not cover the interests of the Niger Delta people. PTAN only covers the interest of professionals. If you're not part of that group, you don't get covered. And I can categorically tell you that by that association alone, PTAN has been able to attract so many projects to their members, only their members. Now, as people that are oil industry producers in Nigeria, it is important that the Ijaws and the other tribes in the Niger Delta come together to form an association of professionals or company owners, business owners who are practitioners in the oil and gas, such that we form a power block to approach the government on issues that has to do with our businesses. Let me give another clear example again. I was invited to speak in a conference in Ghana. It's an oil and gas conference. You can Google it and see it. That conference was being organized by Sub-Saharan Africa Oil and Gas. And they were talking about funding. And I told them something. I said, look, the Chinese people have what we call fund for technology, a bank for technology, a bank for oil and gas, a bank for the different sectors. If you study the Chinese economy, for instance, you're an oil and gas person, you should be able to go to an oil and gas bank who understand your business to get facility to run your project or to execute your project. Therefore, I came out with the theory, BOGA theory, which is the Bank of Oil and Gas Africa. That theory today is being tinkered between the Sub-Saharan African Oil and Gas and the NNPC people who organized the NNPC people who are part organizers of that conference. So I see no reason why we in the Niger Delta cannot have an association that addresses our concern as businessmen. We are all here, we hear of Cattle Breeders Association, am I correct? Cattle Breeders Association. They have the Up North, the Middle Belt, and they have Cattle Breeders Association. But here we are, great and illustrious sons and daughters of Ijaw land or Niger Delta. We should be able to be seen to have an oil and gas business network where these associations are the go-to or are very serious people. They are professionals who come together to face the government in terms of policy issues, brain for brain, money for money, skill for skill, technology for technology. The truth is that I've listed a few things I would like us to consider, which I would not like to flog this matter because it's not a one-sided meeting. I want the contribution of everybody so that we can have a beautiful dialogue. I want us, first of all, let me go through exactly what I wrote here. I'm looking at the situation whereby this particular organization will foster unity among the businessmen in the Niger Delta, give them a hope, create a mission and a vision for them, model it after the IPAC that we have in the US and the other countries that have source association that helps its members. We should not forget that we are from Niger Delta. We do not have a strong body that speaks for our businessmen. None. The Brace Commission is dead, as we all know. We do not have a commission or an association of very noble technocrats that will speak for us as Niger Delta. The NDDC, we all know what is happening there. However the case may be, it is not about, I'm talking about an association that speaks for professionals, owners of businesses. I'll give you another example. The gas law, the gas regime that the minister for petroleum has, policy that has been given. How does it profit us? Now, how do we get, if we have this kind of association, we can actually approach CBN to fund some of our members who are members of this association and are from this zone, to fund them so that they can establish factories that supports the gas master plan that is already on ground, and the car to gas and the usage of cars, the usage of gas to power cars, and not just powering cars, usage of gas to power our engine, our power get lights, power our generators and our heavy duty generators and coal. It's a huge business market, but then majority of our people in Niger Delta will not be able to access or muster that kind of amount of money to establish that kind of organization. But if we are together, we will be able to approach the CBN and the government to structure a financial model through the Bank of Industry to sponsor some of these projects in our place. So we are looking at we are looking at this organization, bringing everybody together, no matter where you are, whether you're in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, wherever you are practicing as an oil and gas business owner. It is important that we come together, form an association for the sake of our businesses and for the sake of where our businesses are going and for the sake of our people, that we may have a common ground every quarter or every 6 months or every once in a year to have a world conference where all of us will gather and speak to the fact and professionality on ground. Most of these our business owner, OTC is next year. You will see all of them flying down to Houston, Texas, including myself, to spend thousands of dollars in OTC. But when we come back, we defragment. We don't come together to brainstorm how we can approach the government, or how we can approach the oil industry, or how we can approach the IOCs on the new technology, or how to propose this technology, how to back our members. It is only a few of our brothers that are up there. But true to time, I can sit here and count so many great businesses that have arisen from Niger Delta that at the end of the day, they've gone bankrupt. It is because we don't have a strong structure that backs we as businessmen in the Niger Delta. And we do not have any political cover. The truth is that there is a certain level your business will grow to. You need political covering. But as Niger Delta indigenes or as Niger Delta people, how many of our sons and daughters can categorically say they have the hearing of the people in the center, or they have the backing of the government to grow their business beyond where it is? So I want us to look at the total summation of why are we a people, what can we do to benefit from our own resources, what can we do to form a very formidable association so that we can start engaging the government, the politicians, and what have you, key stakeholders, governors, House of Assemblymen, will start engaging them on putting the right policy and the right framework and speaking in one voice on how to empower our people and how to upgrade our entire Niger Delta. So on this note, my people, there is a lot I have about. It's a brief meeting to brainstorm with all of us because I know everybody's not on board. We are still going to take this meeting further. We're going to discuss it with a larger house, but it's a brief meeting. I wanted to put this idea out that everybody will hear and start penning something down for a greater good, because we are going to still sit down with the larger house and push this thing to the larger house, get our noble children and our noble sons and our daughters to come on board so that we can run this process and start engaging the government as fast as possible. So on this ground again, I need us to look at creating a body that covers us all. Creating a body that covers us all. If you look at a National Union of Road Transport Workers, I cannot remember in my wildest of dreams when a South man has headed that particular association. It has never been. But it's an association. It has always been headed by the West, sometimes deputized by the North. No South man has ever heard that organization. But here we are in our place. We don't have any formidable process. We don't have any formidable association that we can latch to and start engaging the government constructively. Now, you all may know Brass LNG is coming on board. Brass LNG is coming on board. I've been for the past months, I've been consulted very, very wide by different key stakeholders and different multinationals and different companies on how to come on board for the Brass LNG project. But I must say to us all, this majority of the company that has been calling for my attention, as there are companies that are coming on board, render services to LNG and backload this currency back to their countries. Yes, we are aware that database of Niger Delta professionals is with LNG, but I can guarantee you, if we have a body that speaks forth for us, well structured, it will be easier for us to engage both at local content level, government, federal government level, state level, community level, one-on-one with the multinationals or the local, or like we say, the NOCs, the Nigerian oil companies, the IOC, and the international oil companies. So it is very, very pertinent that we start looking inward to have an association, just like the different industry have. In Lagos, I went to visit a friend in one of these new generation banks, and we got talking, and he told me he has a meeting in LBS, in Lagos Business School. And I asked him, what for? Because I know he was a lecturer. I said, what for? I said, well, he is the president of XYZ Association. I said, oh, wow, you have such an association? He said, yes. How many members do you have? He said, we have over 6,000 members from all over the country. How long has this organization, when did they start? He told me they just started over a year ago. 6,000 people registered. So imagine a situation whereby we have this organization, we are able to cascade down to take cascade down the different aspects of business owners that are going to be in this group. And when we be approaching the federal government or the state government or the different stakeholders on the needful. If I go as an individual, I might succeed. My success might just be 20%. But if we go as a body, our success will be high and shared among all. So it is important we take away, we go away from this, level of discussion to a higher level of responsibility where we are going to meet our words with action. I remember what the minister said at the last time he addressed us. He said, look, he is hoping and wishing to meet us, not even on Skype, one-on-one. But we should put ourselves together, give him a date, and meet with him. But the truth is that how do we meet with the minister when we are going there as individuals? We don't have an umbrella organization that speaks for the benefit of everybody. This is one of the things Desiani also mentioned sometime back when she was still in power, that he just needs to put themselves together. I know we have the resources. We in Niger Delta, we have the resources, we have the human capacity, we have the knowledge, but we need to put ourselves together as a body to approach the government. So ladies and gentlemen, or I will say yes, ladies and gentlemen, I will say on a very serious note, the whole idea of this particular meeting is to register an association that speaks forth and lobby forth on behalf of the Niger Delta oil and gas businessmen. So I would like us to look at this particular topic and make our own contribution so that we can fine-tune this, we can fine-tune it to the point whereby we can take it to the bank and get it registered and ensure that we have an umbrella association that has boots on the ground, that are ready to sit down with the government, that are ready to do whatever it takes, except for violence, to get projects attracted to our place, to get businesses settled in our place. For instance, the insecurity that has been taking place, the Niger Delta has been giving blank check that we are very, very insecure. It's insecurity in Niger Delta is very high. I agree that it is very high, but it is very high is highly dependent on the professionals that are there coming together to form a formidable security blanket to cover the entire zone. I'm aware through the Ministry of Transport that and the Shippers Council of Nigeria that a corridor of security architecture is being designed for the Niger Delta. Now, it is being designed without your own input as a business owner. You do not know how that policy is going to affect you as a business owner. If you will be co-opted to pay for that security coverage as a business owner. But by the time we have this association, we can sit down as first of equal with stakeholders to know exactly in details what the security corridor is all about. So gentlemen, it is very, very important that we put boots on the ground. That should be it. Putting boots on the ground by creating an association that speaks forth with action, meets with the government on our behalf as INDG. So I want on this ground, I want us to look at it and make contribution as according. But please, for the contribution, all you need to do is to click your button to raise your hand. You'll be called to speak. And Isaac T.
Yes.
I believe the person should not speak for more than 1 or 2 minutes. Or do we have a peg to how many minutes the person will speak for?
It depends. because we still have time. We can say 5 minutes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, 5 minutes. So I'm open to any question or any clearance that we all need to have, and I'll give clearance to it.
Okay, George Ewo.
Go ahead.
George, unmute yourself and contribute.
Unmute yourself.
Good evening, everybody. And then thank you, Mr. Dowell, for the stare that you've just given. I was expecting this meeting to have a larger number, but it's unfortunate that we're just less than 10. Maybe the publication will go furthermore. Listening to you and understanding what you have said gives me an impetus that, yes, there's something that can be done and we can actually go further based on what you have just premised. And I agree with you, taking a leaf from the Jews. I remember what I saw when I was in California 2 years ago, and how the Jews took control of what is going to happen because they have the banking industry. And I realized that I was supposed to be flown to Israel just because they have something that affects the banking industry and they control it from Israel. Well, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Some of the examples you have given here are very correct, and I agree with you. And since from the very first time I read that article on the platform about forming an oil and gas interest group, the only thing that comes to mind is how possible can this be done without rancor, without unnecessary interest, without acrimony? Like you said, when we had a meeting with the Minister of Petroleum, one of the things he harbored on much more was the disunity that is prevalent within the Ijaw nation. And this disunity is what is really killing us. And it's causing a lot of disaffections, even for those that have good interest. So even as this is going to be happening, I heard you talk about a group that has 6,000 members. Having membership, just like we have in INDG, is easy. But when people come at membership with different interests, it's difficult for you to have a formidable front. In as much as you have good intentions and you want to make sure that there's a good forge ahead on the premise you just talked about, what I worry about is how to be able to make sure that this is well cultivated as to give the needed direction without distractions. And so I want to put it back to you if you ask me. What I want to put back to you is this. You seem to have some knowledge about how these organizations from different ethnic organizations have surfaced, and they have been able to do things perfectly well to get a front for themselves. Maybe you should write out a template, knowing the different demographics that we have in the Ijaw nation, knowing the different likes that we have and the kind of things we have. Those that have similar likes with you, similar thoughts like you, maybe Isaac as your front-hand man and one other person, get out a template. That's going to be a very good starting point. A template of, let's say you talked about several groups that we can actually front for, but let's start with one. Let's start with one, but that has to be well specified in terms of the template that you bring. Propose a name, propose an objective, propose a route, propose a roadmap. And when you do all these proposals and then you call for a meeting, it will be like, yes, this is good, or no, this is not good. By so doing, you'll begin to see like minds and you begin to see those that will deflect so they can be pushed back. That for me is a very good starting point. This you have just done now is an introduction. Well agreed, even though the attendance is not much, but setting a template with making sure of where we're going, what we're doing, and some kind of selected persons that you know work with you will be a very good start point. Secondly, I also want to say, the Ijaw nation is blessed with notable resource persons far and wide. And these resource persons, I must tell you that most of them are eager to support for the progress of the Ijaw nation. But their fear and their drawback is because of the insecurity coupled with the sentiments and the disunity that is prevalent within the Ijaw nation. And this disunity brings about some kind of insecurity and some kind of disunity, that's kind of distractions that makes them feel that they're not safe. So if this comes on board and people begin to see that there is a genuinity in this, I bet you will still see some other persons, even in diaspora, to join as to make it a formidable front. So let us, the elites, come up with this and get it well formed up. And I'm sure even the former president will be happy to back it up so that we'll have a better standing. And if we start it on a good footing, I must also tell you that those that have the distractions will not have any option than just to join and follow, and then we can grow it together. My humble submission. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very, very much. I appreciate what you've just enumerated right now. But I want to say you are not far away from the truth. You talked about drawing out strategies and framework on how it works and all the rest. It has been long I've been putting strategies like this in place. It may interest you to know that I worked for a very long time in UAE. I stay in that country. There is a group they call the 2020 Visionaries. Their simple work ethics is to sit down and see how they can bring the different interest groups together. They don't, because the UAE, they're about, let me say they're about, maybe they're about 1 point something, staying with about 15 million people. They're about 1.4, 1.5 billion Emiratis, staying with about 15 million people. Now imagine just imagine 1.5 million people managing well over 15 to 20 million people. If you put it over the year, you find out that they manage, the ratio is very high. What they did was what called the cell system or the segmentation system. Let me take the segmentation system. The segmentation system is very robust and detailed, where the different interests in the Niger Delta in terms of businesses that operates in the oil and gas. For instance, the mariners. The mariners, we have a unit, a head of that marine. The logistic providers, in terms of land logistic providers, will have a unit, right? You have the drillers, they will have a unit. We have those who render air services, they will have a unit. Now, the captains of these different units will form the inner circle, which is called like the Senate of the body. So without taking you back and front, the framework and strategy is in place, but we are going to fine tune it. I'll work with Isaac. I can see my brother Mebie here, another fine gentleman and a strategist like myself. We're going to fine tune this particular framework, come aside with our position paper or a document, post it, send it to the group. Let's discuss this. They will now have a conference towards it. One very vital thing, such organization, they thrive on donations. I wish I can open the IPAC, I can open the Israeli platform for you right now, the IPAC platform. You'll be so surprised. They have close to about 309 staffs, employed and fully paid. But they thrive on donation, free will donations from the member organization, from the member body that they lobby for. It may surprise you to know that majority of the defense contracts in America goes to Israel. There is a body that lobbies for that. They lobby with cash, in person, in contact, in brain, in technology. So we as an Ijaw people, it's a given. We must put this together. Even if it's not going to benefit us in the long run, but it's going to benefit our children to come, that they may have it better than we had it. So it is paramount that we are going to look at it and we're going to work on it. We're going to put all the framework and strategy in place. We'll speak to all the key stakeholders. In fact, let me make one statement open here, and any of us can verify. I was in Nigeria and I attended the local content conference in Bayelsa State. I thank God I know one or two persons. I met even our brother Amagbe Kentebe. We were together when we were together in the dinner, in the gala party, where the executive secretary of local content mentioned it clearly that we have well over $100 and so million broken into different fragments that corporate companies in the Niger Delta can tap into to develop their sectors. But a few companies was able to access that loan. And I decided to do a research on it. Why? Make some calls, did some analysis, spoke to some MDs of company, called a lot of colleagues in the industry. What I found out is that a lot of our people, as high up as their company is, they don't know how to put the packages together. They don't know how to package their companies to assess this loan. So now, with this kind of organization, we're going to have experts who will teleguide them, probably put these proposals in place for them, get them this loan to expand that aspect of their industry, and in turn, get them to employ our people. We are also looking at having a unit that practically does what we call re-engineering or reorientation of the mindset of our people. Before now, it was difficult for me to tell somebody that I'm an Ijaw man. Very difficult. Why? We are always known with a coloration. But the truth is that we can't run away from who we are. But until we put our boots on the ground and decide that we must get things done the right way. And I bet you this strategy, framework, policy or procedure or association or whatever name we're going to call it must come to light by the grace of God. First or second quarter next year, we'll work tirelessly to make it come on board. So I would like to take any other question from somebody else.
Any other question or any contribution?
I think this lady is trying to make, I'm seeing, okay, she just went off.
Maybe not. Maybe nice, yeah.
I can see her, yeah. Bina Yedewe, right? That's Professor, is that Professor's daughter?
Okay.
Or sister?
Well, I think just to throw in more light to what you've said, I'm talking about the issues you mentioned about Niger Delta Oil and Gas Business Network. I would suggest that we focus more on the Ijaw Nation instead of broadening the scope, covering Niger Delta. Let's start from our own constituency. Let's start with the Ijaw Nation. Oil and gas professionals, like you said, we can create a business network out of it, because we have the opportunity right now. The petroleum minister has given us that mandate. He wants us to come up with something. In fact, he's still waiting for us. If you could remember the last meeting we had with Governor Silva, he said he's eager. He wants us to come to Abuja. It's not about Zoom meeting. It's not about a virtual meeting. He wants to meet with us one-on-one. He's excited that we are putting ourselves together, the oil and gas experts in the Ijaw Nation. He's so excited about it. So he wants us to to get the ball rolling. So this meeting is very vital, even though we're not many. This is just, we call it a steering meeting, an inaugural meeting. So we're not expecting a huge crowd. So it's just for us to come up with an idea, and streamline, then set up committees, and then come up with an agenda, just like Engineer Iwo just mentioned, come up with an agenda and get buy-in from people. People will buy in. I mean, this is an opportunity we have. We've missed several opportunities. When we had the presidency, we had the petroleum minister and presidency as two top positions from Ijaw Nation. We lost that opportunity, but God has been so kind to us to have another opportunity for us to have the Minister of State in petroleum as an Ijaw man and a willing person that is ready and willing to work with us. So I think this is an opportunity for us to reorganize ourselves. So I think this is a good meeting and it's a good call to service. I just want to throw this into as a point. So anybody have any other contribution can speak and add. If you have questions, you can also ask while we consider our time, because we don't want to spend more than 2 hours in this meeting, this first meeting. Thank you.
Isaac, you're very well taken, and very well spoken. I think I would like to get feedbacks because I'm taking down records of all this feedback. This is what I'm going to go back to the drawing board with to start working on all these framework and strategies so that we can share among ourselves and discuss it extensively and come aside with a solution. So I'm open to any question, anybody want contribution, and I've taken your side of the contribution also. So I'm open to any contribution anybody wants to bring to the floor. Hello, Isaac.
Yeah. We have Prof. Unaru. I don't know if he wants to say something. Prof, you have something to say? The floor is.
Thank you. Good evening. Yeah. Well, my interest is when I saw the invitation as a Niger Delta, perspective, and as an Ijaw man, I was interested. I'm a professor in medicine and toxicology. I've done few things with the oil industry in terms of oil spillage and so on. But what interested me most was, the Niger Delta perspective that was advertised. I want to say that the keynote speaker has done very well. I think his ideas are fantastic. I really want to appreciate what he has done this evening. And to say that we need to key him. He has good passion, great passion for the Niger Delta, especially as it relates to oil and gas industry. I want those who are in the industry to really key in into this initiative, because on the long run, it will be for our own good. I want to really congratulate all of you for this initiative, and may God help us to see it through. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
I would like to hear from our sister.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good evening, Bena.
Yes, I kind of came in later. I had some other things to do, sorry. So I didn't really hear the presentations, but I would like to align with Isaac T's comments about focusing on Ijaw Nation, because every time we do the Niger Delta thing, we end up being losers. Unfortunately, there isn't enough funding in Ijaw Nation. Few people have the kind of funds that are needed to go into a lot of venture. So what happens at the end of the day? Hold on 1 second, hold on. Lucia, can you put your earphones on? Thank you. I'm on a call. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So because we don't have enough funding, whenever we invite other people, Niger Deltans, into a deal, we end up as the losers. One of the things that I've said to Ijaw people who find themselves in power is simply that if they have, if an Ijaw man comes to them with somebody else that is not Ijaw, for some kind of business or for some kind of business deal or access, that he should not give the Ijaw man that access if he's not going to participate. Because what we do is we give access, it is given, we take money and walk away. Tomorrow, that same person that you give access to is doing the business and has built his name in that particular field. Whereas we have gone, we have spent our money, married wife or whatever it is, we have done with it. And we're begging. And I have said that unless those people that are coming for that access are going to participate fully, not just be paid, don't give it to them. Because this is how we have been losing, and unfortunately, even now, we're still losing. My suggestion is, I think I understand the trajectory of this meeting, basically coming up with what needs to be done and how we need to do it. If I'm correct, I think that's where we're going. What needs to be done? What is available? What are the key areas that we can key into? I think that's number one. And then how can we key into those areas? What kind of access do we need? What kind of we have been blessed, like Mr. Isaac T said, to have the petroleum minister as one of us, who also, not just that he's one of us, he's willing to assist. There are so many areas in the oil industry, so many various areas in the oil industry that we are not even aware of. One of the things that I know that Mr. Dowell is very familiar with the industry, as well as Mr. Isaac T. What I would suggest also is that we talk to the people who are there now. Mr. Dowell, I think you know a lot of people that are within the industry. There's so many things that are happening that are very, very simple, that would help Ijaw people participate effortlessly. So I think we need to understand those key areas. Once we understand what those key areas are, and then the ones that we need partners for, because nobody mouth they go talk to Imbo. I'm in America. Isaac T is in America. Miabia is in America. We will still go and talk to the same people. Abi, is it that they are going to speak another English that we don't understand to get the partners? No, I mean, I'm just saying. So we need to understand those areas and know that, look, even if it is something that needs 50 million, it's mouth people have to talk, to say, this opportunity is available. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that this is very, very good. But you know, when somebody says, I'm waiting for you, when you keep the person waiting too long, there is that assumption that you are not serious. We shouldn't fall into that group.
Yeah, I'm not cutting you short. I'm not cutting you short. You see, you took it out of my mouth, because I was trying to be very economical with the facts on ground. As I speak to you, why I'm here is, I don't want to look as if I'm fronting something, but I just need to say, because that is the truth. That's how it is. That's why I'm doing what I do. That's what put food on the table for my kids and my siblings and every other person that works for me. As I speak to you, I know 4 Ijaw prominent sons who are bidding for pipeline maintenance and are dying to sit down with the minister and say, sir, we are past technical, we're in commercial. Can you assist us? Just one phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, $500 million will be rolling down in Niger Delta.
Okay.
One person, not 5 of them, one person will be sealing up to $500 million worth of contracts. One person. You see, but the truth is, we cannot go as an individual. We have to go as a unit.
As a unit, yes.
streamline whatever is coming, whatever we are gaining, because my own take is we create what we replicate what the Jews are doing in America, form an IPAC Tea Party group that lobbies on behalf of these persons. And in turn, these persons get the project, they finance the activity of the organization. The organization becomes an entity with staffs working, so people working on policies, people working on engineering, people working on different departments to come outside with processes and procedures that benefit our people. And that's why I'm saying there is a whole lot of framework and strategies on ground. We just put ourselves together so that we don't go approaching our brother that is waiting for us, the minister, individual, because the man, if he sees Isaac T today, or he sees Nebia today, he sees Norway tomorrow, he sees God next tomorrow, he will be tired. If we go as a group, that where this is what is on the ground, this is what is on the offing, this is what we are on a stroke of pen, we have all these things in batch, and we can come back and affect those people that are behind us and employ our brothers. So I think what you just said is fantastic, is on point, and we are really, really going to work on it. We are really going to work on it. I can give you my word on that. We're going to work on it. Okay. Maybe if you're hearing me.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Fantastic. Don't come from the activist perspective again.
Well, there is nothing to say. I think the challenge is building the hegemony, as what's his name? Ewa has said. I think the point he raised is that we have not been able to build that hegemony. We have not been able to, and it is perhaps for me the most difficult thing to get a hegemony. And the real thing is to look at what strategy there are to bond people together and make them go on a common focus. Maybe reduce the objectives, make it very concise, one single objectives and milestones, and test whether we have developed that competence to build hegemony. That's the way I would look at it in terms of moving forward. Usually, interests are strong when there is business. But if it is social interest, well, maybe I don't know how it will work. You raised the issue of the Jewish lobby and how they get resources too. But again, the politicians and the technocrats in the industry, I can feel people like Simbi Wabote if you come with sound technical proposals, because his interests would be generally growing up in the industry and understanding the market. He understands, but when it becomes politicians, they will then begin to play partisan concerns, and you are forced to deal with the challenge of partisan tendencies and all that. Which party does it belong to? What value will it bring? We've not matured above that, looking at this. If it becomes more resourceful than me and it's not in my party, things may not work. So that, but if you look at people like Simbi, that may be a different thing. So in terms of designing strategy, those are the things to look at. What is it that can bind us together? What is it that can disintegrate us? Where will be the point to focus on and bite little? Because I mean, some of us who have exerted a lot of effort trying to build our people together recognize that it's very, very difficult to hold people together. If you call for discussions meeting, people will come with all sorts of ideas. They will talk from the beginning till the end. By the time you begin to do real things, there are two things that happen. One, a group of people just don't show any interest, they don't show any commitment. The other group of people who show interest and commitment are looking for benefits rather than driving the objective within the bigger goal of getting everybody beneficial. So they begin to polarize the system because of objective. Those are the issues we will face, but we keep trying. We keep trying, we keep pushing ourselves forward by the day and see. But more importantly, what is that strategy? I want to look at what that strategy is that we would use to bind a team together. I've always thought that mobilizing, because I've done a lot of things at the strategic level with people, I've always thought that mobilizing mass interest around things will work, even though I've not succeeded in getting people to see that perspective. That's why maybe you call me as an activist, oriented strategist. But you who have worked there, you know how difficult. At your technical personal level, you will see that you can succeed, but you know that success is not significant relative to the impact you want to make. But when you want to bring social capital together, you begin to see how polarized we are because our social capital cannot cohere to deliver. But that's really where the power is, particularly because we have some advantage. So I'm looking for that strategy, honestly. That's why you saw me very quiet. I'm looking for that strategy again that will help us bond together and create that technical hegemony that will, our business hegemony that will be meaningful. I really don't think that it's about the minister and the opportunities that the minister has. It's about the force of that group, the voice that they are able to create in moving forward. The minister may be from Lokoja, may be from this, but the moment there is a force of people who are technically competent, they are business-wise sound, they have the networks and the connections, they have a name and a reputation, they will listen to you. Like Petan, between me and you, you know how Petan has evolved since local content came. And you can see how Petan is the center of the local content. There is no policy, there is no program that local content will sit down and will not talk of Petan to do what they want to do. Even all those monies, it is Petan that sits down and do what they want to do. If you go to OPTS, the Petroleum Trade Section of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, it is Lagosians who put it together, and they are controlling the industry from Lagos. They have built technical and business interests in OPTS, and they control that side of the things, and they are doing it. So why? But the local opportunities that we have here, we've not found that hegemony to deal with it. That to me is the biggest concern, and it's beginning to worry me. It's beginning to worry me as a person why we can't succeed at this level. Maybe it's because we've not had a very influential finance person who is community conscious, but maybe God will bless us as we move on. That's my own little contribution to it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Very, very on point. I appreciate that point. Well taken. That point is very well taken and very well noted because it is key. What you said is very, very key and well taken. Now, one other thing I will also say is that the only thing that is constant in this life is change. And as far as divisive, or should I use the word divisive? As divisive as our people may seem to be, or as we say, the hegemony coming together, putting, binding us together, there are always a breaking point when truth is placed on the table. When truth is placed on the table, there is always a binding point. And that is why I said, we will walk from the known, or walk from the unknown to the known, or from the known to the unknown. Because the strategy is very robust, it's very wild, It has been tested and trusted for ages, this particular strategy. In fact, if you're a fan of literature, like I am a fan of some, some literary people like Julius Caesar, some of the strategies that I use to bring the Spartans to see eyeball to eyeball with the Romans, you might want to look at it. The truth is, these are they are one people, but two different idealist people. So until we let them see the focus and the focal point and the gains that thereof, line by line outlining every single concern that needs to be handled. Maybe I don't need to tell you all this. You've gone through all this process before. We've seen all this in happen times without number. So we all know exactly what needs to be done. But the truth is that, like he said earlier, some of our brothers and sisters, the moment they don't, their interests are not carried, they look for every means to derail that process, which is very, 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 very sad. But the truth is that until we stand up to these people and tell them that you cannot derail us and we will succeed in this, and bring in the best brain we can, I think we'll be working, our effort will be in futility. But we are set out to achieve this, and by the grace of God, we'll achieve it. That's a guarantee I'm willing to put on ground to say, by all means, it will be achieved. So I'm open again.
I'll just say one small thing, because I guess I'm still in the office and it's already getting to 8 p.m. So I need to close past 8 now. I really want to appreciate Abie for that statement. He actually spoke in more detail to what I had in mind. The reason why I said what I said is because, just like he said, I have been in this kind of different fora where I have tried to be able to put minds together, to be able to make ends meet by way of getting a front end. And Isaac T is my colleague. There's one that we are doing in our old boys. It's not working well because of the different interests. There is one I'm doing with my age group. It's not working well because of the interest. There's one I'm doing with some professionals somewhere, but people have different minds and different likes. So what Abie had said, it's just the basic major problem, coupled with the fact that the Ijaw nation has diverse ethnic groups, which have their own peculiarities in terms of doing things and their likes. And so even though I know that it's something that can be solved, but you need to know how to tackle it before you can get a better solution. And I hear you talk about the fact that you're hoping that by next year we will have gotten a framework and all that. If I may advise, knowing what is presently happening now and the expense of and the likes of the petroleum minister, if it is possible to try and fast track it, the better, because we cannot tell what will happen next year. So what I want to say is, setting a framework, just like Abie said, getting one objective and seeing that we start small is the better way to kickstart. Now, if we have one and you want to kickstart it small, you have to get the like minds. And while you get the like minds, the other thing you need to do is also try and get some opinion leaders, people that you know will agree with you within the Ijaw nation. So when those are like your backhands, when people see what is being written, they will want to come. So let's assume you come up with this framework that we're talking about, well-detailed framework, you and your group. You do not necessarily need to post that on INDG, because once you expose the whole of what you have already watered it. It will become a critic that will be difficult to maintain. So let's assume you get the whole thing done. You could just write a small synopsis and post in there with a form for like minds to register. That will bring forth a larger crowd in your next meeting. And when that comes, you could do a proper presentation, if like call it a PowerPoint, not just verbal, and that will sink down better. With some notable faces you have in there, we will have a better ground to flow. Not forgetting that whatever you do, you need to have a back end, because now I'm looking at you as some more or less like a founder. So the success of this will really lie on how you actually tackle it. Even if you're not a founder, I could just say that, well, you started this whole thing and I like the initiative. but the challenges there are inherent, and this is what you need to know. So you have the known challenges, and you are working to the unknown, which is the bigger one. So now that you know that you have the known, ask people around. ABA is very good in that. And Isaac too is good. Thank God you've already chosen them. You have a better ground to go. Now, the last thing I also want to say is, when you have finished all this, before you expose it to the whole Ijaw nation, please, if possible, have a private meeting with some big wigs, if possible, also with the minister. Now, when you do this and you have a buy-in, more or less like the minister, or maybe the former president, you will see that you will have little opposition. You will have a better ground for you to move on straight. When this is being done, and then you fast track the implementations, it's going to be better achieved than allowing it to lie for too long. Just an advice. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I buy that. Absolutely 100%. I buy that. I agree solemnly. I agree line by line. I agree to what you just said, and I also agree to what Mia have already said also. So I think by and large, we all agree that certain things need to be in place for certain things to happen. And I solely concede that all these things will be put in place. So Isaac T, for not wanting to take more than the necessary required time, I think we can round up and re-strategize, come outside with all these things and take another firm date, just as we all agree to do.
Yes, I think that's the right thing to do. What we did today is just like watering the ground, you know, just to probe into our heads, you know, so that way we can all brainstorm. And we've done very well so far, so good. So I think the next meeting will avail us much opportunity to come up with a framework. So that framework will kickstart everything that we discussed today. You know, so I think like what George said, we should act fast. There's no need putting this into next year, because you know the political nature of Nigeria, things can change. You know, now that we have the yam and the knife, it's better to act fast. So I think I buy to that idea of acting fast, and also the caution from Miabie is very important. You know, these are things we will face as we move on. You know, nothing good comes easy. Definitely, we'll face obstacles on the way, but as professionals, we're not politicians. We're coming together as professionals, not politicians. So we'll be more focused. That's what I think. We'll be more focused. So we'll select the right people to steer this process. So if you can see on our roundtable forum, we have just professionals or people that have interest in oil and gas. It's not just anyhow kind of a politician. So we are selecting just like minds. And as time goes on, we'll sift through the names and narrow it down to the real people, the core people that will push this, that will drive this process. I see possibility. I see us being able to get it done, because we're all professionals. Me, I'm a professional in my own area. I understand drilling because I've been into drilling for over 20 years. I know what it takes to drill a well. You know, you are into, maybe you are either upstream or downstream, you know. So every one of us here have their own different specialties. So by the time we bring everybody together, you know, and form a core, a team, I think I don't think any politician will come and change the trajectory for us. So I see possibility, though we're going to face challenges, but with the right minds, the right brains, I think we'll get it done. So on the next at the next meeting, I'm sure we'll come up with something very positive and something very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody that has come. I want to also say thank you for taking out.
Let me just, Dawal, before you close, maybe you need to take note of this. I like the fact that you raised, I'm an interest-based negotiator and multi-sector partnership broker, and one of the tools of brokering partnerships or groups is the overall interest and the strategic interest of the individual partners. The moment the strategic interest of the individual partners with the big partner and they see value in the big objective and they see that their own strategic interest is protected, are more likely to bond from that point of view. At the political level, Mr. greatest ambition is to become the person who made gas the in thing in Nigeria. When you say Nigeria moved into exploring and exploiting its gas potentials, he wants to be associated with that name. So in designing anything, and besides that, we also have a young man in our midst who is very, very interested in also making a name as SA Gas. So anything that will enhance their own aspiration as a people will immediately waking them up, because that's their natural drive. I mean, if you follow the Sun Tzu Act of War strategy, that's their natural disposition. This is where they want to go. If anything will help them to achieve that, they will quickly give it all the interest, and they see that it's useful to achieve, whether it's their business or their political or their reputational or professional and technical interest. They will quickly want to buy into that. So in doing that, you can see that the minister there, anywhere he goes, he's talking about gas, auto gas. He wants to convert all vehicles to gas. He wants to do that everywhere he goes. That's the only thing. He praised the politics with the president. He says the president is the person who has this big vision of wanting to make Nigeria the next thing about gas in the world, and so on and so forth. That is what it is. So in designing, if you want to catch the minister, you must find a way of designing that strategic interest into the bigger interest. So if you say we want to create a constituency of professional and business interest who wants to advance the gas interest of this thing into you will get that type of attention, particularly when they see your goal and they see your strategy and they see your activities, that they are actually things that will benefit them. It could just be deciding that we want to create, we want to stop the use of firewood. We want to set up local community to stop the idea of using firewood and make gas available to local people in a way that will have a massive gas badges or whatsoever. Go and fill in cylinders in the local community at that cheap rate and all that. Even though we want to do those type of things, I'm not saying this is what you do. I'm just throwing ideas for you to think about as you think about it. Even though you do that, and the ministers see that the numbers, these people want to make sure that in every village there is no more cutting of trees, so that carbon trade will benefit them. And they want to do this in the villages. They are meeting the kings. They are meeting this. They are mobilizing that there is a unit in the association that is doing that. You will discover that you will hook onto him, and he will use it for politics, and he will start throwing the numbers in the political space, and then you will begin to attract the financial and the technical muscles that are available in the market to gain that. So that's just what I thought I should tell you in terms of putting a concrete way forward, something that you don't need to struggle, because that's where he's flowing into. If you begin to go and tell him you want to do certain things that is heavy, and it's brand new, it is novel, there is no real competition there. They are looking for people. People are not looking for them. They are the people looking for people at this time. So if you organize around that, as perhaps one of the first initiative you want to do as a group, you maybe have some other ones at the bottom, but this one is just to hook in into the system. I think that you may make some impact, hopefully, about that. And let's see how all of us work to do that. You're muted, we are not hearing you.
Sorry, well taken, very well taken, you're on point. In fact, you may want to know that during Goodluck Jonathan era, I worked with Kayode Awolowo, I worked with Olusegun Aganga, I worked with the renowned Dangote, there was what they call the Industrial Master Plan. I was a technical consultant on that board. I have a blue copy of the Industrial Master Plan, and it's all about gas. I think we'll bring it on board and we'll bring it on board and we'll put it to part of what we are going to be doing. So I think we're in good league. We're in good league. We can't discuss extensively everything today, but we're in good hands, and by the grace of God, we'll get there. We'll put it in the right perspective. And do not forget, we'll also call you because you're part of us, you know. So thank you, gentlemen. And yes, I'm very grateful. Thank you very much for hooking in. We believe a lot will unveil itself in the shortest possible time. So
right.
Thank you very much. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
This is Isaac Ombe, a journalist in Colombo.
Wait, who is that?
Thank you, do well.
Okay, Isaac, okay. We didn't see your face.
Hello.
Yeah, Isaac, we didn't see your face.
Oh, thank you. This is Isaac Ombe, speaking from Yanagwa.
Okay, okay.
Isaac Ombe, a journalist anyway. Yeah.